how is it going to work out? We're racing at a brand new venue in the GT World Series. Abu Dhabi is the home for this one, and here is how the grid will line up for the final race. Porsche will be on pole position with Angela Stroza heading the field. Trent Jeffrey will spearhead Honda's charge from that front row as well. Takuma Miyazono, P3 for Subaru ahead of Mazda's Pole Eura in fourth place. Lining up on the third row of the grid, Giorgio Mangano for Lexus, former champions, of course, with BMW for company alongside in sixth place. I think it's Mercedes-AMG, tricky nice at the office for them so far here today, with McLaren lining up P8 with Yamamoto behind the wheel. Then it's Nissan and Philo in ninth position with Toyota's Kaida Brun in 10th place. Lamborghini and Rosenberger lining up P11 on the grid, and Ferrari with Zhao Jesus behind the wheel in 12th position. Now, of course, we've got tyre strategy, we've got fuel to consider here in this one here, Jimmy, as well. And from what we can see, Porsche are starting this one on the softs. They're trying to get away early. Yeah, I mean, unsurprising, I think, from what we've seen so far. Interesting, a couple of teams there, you hear them rev on the grid, just trying to burn a bit of fuel. A couple of them have done that now, just have a bit of a lighter car to start with. That's how fine the margins are here. Not sure the engine's going to appreciate that so much, but that's part of the game here at the Gran Turismo World Series. Absolutely. Well, there is Pole Europe sitting in the Mazda. They line up fourth position here in this one. Just to remind you, great opportunity for them to come through and claim their first ever Manufacturers' Cup crown here tonight. Porsche, of course, on the precipice of greatness there as well. They've never claimed a Manufacturers' Cup champion. We've never had a non-Japanese Manufacturers' Cup champion as well. But what will happen when the lights go out and we go racing for one final time in 2025? Porsche will lead the field across the line, followed by Honda, followed by Subaru, as the grand final for the Manufacturers' Cup is underway in 2025 as we come down towards the first corner here at Abu Dhabi. It's a 90-degree left-hander in a fairly heavy braking zone, but drivers will be trying to get heat into the tyres and the brakes over these first sweeping few corners as they make their way through this first sector of the lap. And a clean start there for Porsche and for Angela Stroza. He's on the soft compound of tyre relative to Honda and Trent Jeffrey, who's going to be a bit of a sitting duck there. We're nearly three abreast and to the left-hander. Look at Mazda, 2 places for the price of 1 into the hairpin bend. That's absolutely sensational for Pole Eura on the soft compound of tyres. He's through and into second place. That was a super important move there for the Mazda, because they need to chase down that Porsche. They need to stay with them. Angela Stroza plans to go fast early, and of course Pole Eura cannot afford to be stuck behind slower cars on slower compounder tyres. A very important pass there from Eura, and as we see Subaru and Honda close together as well. That Honda, the hard compounder tyre, the hard stint is all about damage limitation, so they'll try their best to stay with the Subaru for now, but Porsche and Mazda already making a little bit of a gap between the rest of the field here. Yeah, you'd imagine what you're going to be set to see then at this particular point in the race is the soft tyre shop runners, so Porsche, Mazda, Rosa and Eura, they'll clear off into the distance. The Subaru and the Lexus will be in third and fourth place as they go side by side with one another through that left-hander. Then you'll see the hard shop runners sort of in their own group at the moment. The race is generally what they do is they start off a little bit slower, then get a bit interesting in the middle part of the race, then right towards the end, once the strategies diverge in terms of the tyres and in terms of the fuel loads and who's picked and decided what drivers and so on and so forth, that's when it'll get very interesting indeed. Yeah, but Lexus making a good start there up to P3, also past Team Subaru as well here, so Lexus is always a strong contender in these events. So 2018 they won. First time in 2024 as well. And 2024, yeah, so they have got pedigree as Lexus, but a reminder, double points of course for this race. There your points are on screen, 24 for the winner, so huge haul if you manage to win this. And if the winner of this race is Porsche, Mazda or Subaru, each team respectively will take away the crown here today. Absolutely. So it's damage limitation then for Honda here. What they've got to try and do is hang on to the coattails of Subaru and Lexus as much as they can. They're involved in their own little sort of battle, as it were, going in towards this hairpin bend. And what Honda would really benefit from is if they just started fighting amongst one another. But however, these drivers, they're very experienced. Behind the wheel of that Lexus is Giorgio Mangano. He's been here since day one. Takuma Miyazono behind the wheel of the Subaru. He knows a thing or two about how to win a title. They're not going to start duffing one another up in this first phase of the race, and look at how they're just playing it safe, just biding their time, lifting off of the throttle down this straight here to try and save a bit of fuel, but also just not get involved in sending one up the inside, costing them both time as they enter into the corner and subsequently dropping them back into those hard shot runners. There's a possibility that he's just staying there and using the draft of his Lexus down the straight. So we know the Subaru is really fast in that last sector, but maybe
overall the lap time is quicker with a draft for this Subaru. So a little bit of strategy in play here to go into lap 2. Of course, strategy, just a reminder, each tyre must be used a minimum of 5 laps, which means basically every driver has to drive at least 5 laps. So there are stronger and weaker drivers in each team. We tend to see the guys running the soft tyre be the fastest. To say that though, who's quicker out of Serrano and Inestrosa? That's an interesting one to try and piece apart. But we'll leave that for now as we watch Lexus and Subaru go by. We've sort of christened as the Latifi Memorial there on the right-hand side, and luckily he's not in this race.
Goodness me. I wondered how long it would take.
Yeah.
2 laps was the answer.
2 laps.
As it turns out of this final corner we go, across the timing line then. Porsche trying to stretch that advantage. Last time around 153.7, actually a couple of tenths of a second slower than Mazda and Pol-Eura. So the gap sitting in a bit of a constant. I know they're trying to stretch the advantage, it's not quite working for them. So all that Pol-Eura needs to do then here is just drive his own race, sit there in second place, not allow Porsche to get too far off into the distance. As you said, Jimmy, that first lap move where we saw him sending it to the inside down into here on 2 cars, absolutely critical, because if he had waited another couple of corners, even the length of this back straight or so, it could have cost him time. That gap could have gone up from being a second as it is now, could have been 1.5 seconds. It could have been out of that slipstreaming range.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess now the question is, how long can these guys make that soft tyre last? I mean, tyre wear wise, it seems pretty equal between Porsche and Mazda. Mazda being slightly better on its tyres so far on the data that we have in the moment. Bit of home support there. Nice effort to give him Miyazola. There he is, rocking some very cute gloves as well. Very nice, look at those. Yeah. Was I saying? C-Sports, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a bit of a colour clash, I must be honest, with the red. If I'm being completely honest.
Is there a lot of stylists in it? Send Jules
Clearly,
in there.
clearly not. Have you seen your hair?
This is in fashion, says someone.
Yes, if you woke up in 1978, perhaps. Anyway, Subaru and Takuma Miyazono sitting there in 4th place. I have to say, the loyalty that Takuma Miyazono has shown to Subaru over the years. I mean, if you remember, he won all of the championships back in 2020, and he's stayed with that team ever since. He's won 1 since then as well, back in 2022. This is Mercedes versus Honda. The advantage of the slipstream there for Mercedes, going through on the inside down at the back straight and getting that move done quite nicely.
Lovely move there, nice and easy. Interestingly, Mazda are starting to pull in a little bit into the back of Porsche and Ango and Inestrosa. I mean, do you fight either of those guys? I mean, you are directly fighting for the series win here, so you have to I think you have to make those moves here. You can't afford to sort of work together. You need to really try and force the other car into as many mistakes as possible. Ferrari picked up a 1 second penalty there. Shame for them. I'm not quite sure what happened, but it was colliding with another car. We might see a replay of that at some point. Meanwhile, we'll focus on this Subaru and Lexus. You get the impression Miyazono might be getting a little bit impatient now.
Yeah, he's starting to pick up his pace here, isn't he, to give him Miyazono. Let's see whether he can start to bring those fights to the front. Through into that left-hander we go. And
different line there.
Yeah, interesting, isn't it? And he's going to have, of course, the advantage of the slipstream. We know the Achilles heel, though, of that Subaru has traditionally been in a straight line. So let's see what it's like compared to the Lexus. Of course, he's got the advantage of the slipstream, and if it was a bit quicker in the straight line, you'd see him pull alongside. But then we did see him lifting off down that back straight earlier on, so I wonder whether there's a similar strategy going on. Unfortunately for Nissan, meanwhile, it's so close into the braking zone, just a smattering of contact there as Miyazono just gets into the back of the Lexus of Giorgio Mangano. But Nissan picking up a penalty there in 8th place as well, the former champions. They won it back in 2023, if you remember. And, well, this year it's not been particularly brilliant end to it, with Nikolai Sejak really getting into some bother in his race earlier on here tonight in particular, but a penalty for them. Meanwhile, 3rd and 4th place, Subaru still on the coattails here of Lexus. Are they going to have a lunge to the inside? They certainly are looking at it. Miyazono with the inside line. It's a brave move if you can make it stick through into there, but he gets it done absolutely wonderfully there. Miyazono into the braking zone as they come under the W Hotel into 3rd position.
Well, I didn't really sense too much resistance there from Mangano. I think he sort of knew it was over, and once you get to that point, that was a good place for him to make that move, because that Subaru is really quick through the last sector, can build hopefully a small bit of a gap for their sake anyway, and avoid being overtaken again on the straight. So here we are, coming to that 5 of this race. That's a minimum drive time for each driver. So end of this lap, I suspect we'll see the hard runners box, a driver change, and we'll see this race move into its second phase.
Mazda looking a little bit kinder on their tyres compared to Porsche at this early stage of the race, and that's reflected in the lap times. The gap now down to half a second between Porsche and Mazda. 1:54.695 for Inestrosa in the lead, 1:54.481 for Pol Ura in second place. So you can see the gap has come down to 1.5 seconds. It's now down to as close as it's been, and I wonder whether we might see a challenge for the race lead before too long. Pulls out of the slipstream as we come onto this back straight though, so certainly not trying to get too close to the back of Inestrosa. Again, trying to play that long game. I wonder though, will we see a divergence in strategy? They're now back on the coattails of Porsche, on Mazda here then. Are they going to think about maybe the undercut in this race to try and get the better of the race leaders?
It's a possibility. I mean, like, to be honest, if you team Porsche, I don't think the undercut's going to work so much right now. You want to try and stretch that soft tyre for the best life it has. I'm wondering why Pol Ura is opting to stay behind right now. I mean, it's obvious he has the pace over the Porsche. He's caught right up now. Gaps, what you can see on screen. But that Mazda seems to have a little bit of line to the straight line. Maybe waiting for the back straight again,
or maybe saving fuel.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I'm not sure how much fuel's going to be. I mean, fuel is going to be a factor here somewhat, but yeah, curious to see what the plan is there.
Yeah, coming through under the hotel we go, and you can see nose tail. This is as close as it's been in the battle for the race lead. 6 laps to remind you. That's about as much as we're reckoning these drivers are going to eke out. So we're coming towards that pit window on the soft tyre. I'm going to see either of the top 2 diving into the pit lane. We are. Mazda come in then. So that's why we were seeing the hurry up for Pol Ura. He was pushing on. That was an in lap for him then here. He just needed to minimise the gap as much as he possibly could. They're going to change their driver as well. So Pol Ura will jump out of that car. Into the car will come Ryota Kokubun and onto the medium compound of tyre in this middle stint. And also a plethora of hard shot runners all now coming into them as well. I imagine they're all going to do the same. They're just going to try and get off of that hard compound of tyre as soon as they possibly can and all pretty much go on to the medium. So Kokubun in the Mazda, and now of course what he needs is a nice bit of clear air in front of him, which he'll get as a result of the driver who pitted first.
It's really interesting. These guys will hop in.
Porsche got a penalty, Jimmy.
Oh, why? That's got to be track limits. That's got to be track limits for Angelo Inestrosa. I saw him flirting with the edge of it here. They're being quite strict here. Basically, if you put 2 wheels on the curb, it is going to, or both front wheels on the curb, I should say, sorry, it is going to be a penalty. So 4 wheels over, sorry, to be clear. Here's the replay. Let's see what it's for.
So we're through the right-hander. This is at turn 2. We're just going to go off to the outside. Yeah, 4 wheels over the white line. So, well, there'll be half a second penalty, something along the lines of that. You know, it doesn't sound like a particularly amount. Yeah, half a second. So not a particularly big penalty, but you don't just lose the time of that half second, you lose the time getting back up to speed again. So it works out about 1.5 seconds, and that could be the difference between making that overcut now, as it has to be, work or not work indeed.
That would definitely make the difference. I think that if they opt to box this lap, Team Porsche, which I think they probably will, they are going to be dropping behind Mazda. Depends if they get in that Porsche next, you know, what sort of stint they're going to run. Are they going to save that medium for the end, or they're going to go for a hard in the middle and then just go for a long medium stint in the end?
Well, that's what I was about to say. Do you now try and, you know, limit the damage, stick your slower driver in, get your medium, your hard stint out of the way in the middle part of it, then come good at the end of the race doing the reverse of what Subaru have done, courtesy of the fact that they're going to come out, what, I reckon 1.5 seconds, maybe a couple of seconds behind as a result of that penalty that they've picked up.
Let's see, Subaru looking very quick right now. Actually starting to, I think, catch up to the back of, and in comes Porsche. So Angelo Inestrosa in the box, our current leader and points leader boxing. Who's going to get in the car for these guys now, coming in for a fresh set of the double-lock tyres? It's Jose Serrano, arguably the fastest man in Gran Turismo at the moment, hopping in that Porsche. What's the tyre though? Onto the medium set of tyres there. So he'll be going through the long stint. I think that's a good call.
Makes sense, yeah. If you're going to stick your quickest driver in, arguably one of your quickest drivers in, certainly, it's got to be Serrano's, and it's got to be the medium compound of tyre. Maximise that stint of the race. But the question is, what you want to do in this one is where you come out relative to them. Yeah, Mazda have already come out, so they're going to clear up into the distance, but where are Porsche going to come out relative to everybody else? So they're going to have a nice bit of clear air here. So Mazda there, it's not working out particularly brilliantly there for them as well. So what have they dropped in terms of time? It's about a second and a half or so, exactly as we were expecting there between Mazda and between Porsche. So yeah, interesting to see how that's worked out. Not at all for Porsche, unfortunately.
Really a strong outlap there, Kokubun, I don't think. I think that should have been a bigger gap, considering considering the penalty. See the Porsche there opting to pull off into the side of the road there. And as the lights come on and darkness descends here at Abu Dhabi, I mean, I don't really recognise the circuit beside this, so looking forward to seeing how that looks. Replay here between BMW and Honda. So what happened here?
So coming through into the final corner, BMW are going to looking for the inside line. Oh, beautiful bit of switchback on the inside. Gets that move done absolutely wonderfully there for BMW. That's Thomas Laboutelet, who was behind the wheel of the car. Meanwhile, the sharp end of this, now Subaru with Lexus right on their coattail. So this was the battle for third place, just to remind you, prior to the pit stops. They are the drivers who start on the medium compound of tyre. They haven't yet pitted. About 9 laps or so, that's what we reckon the medium tyres are going to be able to eke out in this race. But Lexus and Subaru, they kept each other honest in the opening stage of this race. And they're just sitting there waiting for the right opportunity. I don't think they're going to send anything to the inside. We're not going to see that from Giorgio Mangano behind the wheel of that Lexus. But again, they've just kept Subaru in their sights for now. Kept the gap at a constant, playing the patient game.
Yep. So looking at Team Subaru right now, one of our contenders here at the Grand Finals at Fukuoka. All comes down to this. It's been a long year for these guys. Our 4th event, of course, for our Manufacturers' Cup, with 3 teams in it to win it: Mazda, Subaru and Porsche. Currently, if it ended as it was, Subaru would be your champions, but they've not pitted yet, so probably not going to happen. But right now, Giorgio Mangano keeping them honest in the Lexus. As you say, former champion 24 and 2018, so big pedigree for Team Lexus. Unfortunately, points-wise, not really in contention for the win here today, even with no points.
And it's a shame for Lexus because, as we know, reigning Manufacturers' Cup champions, it just hasn't worked out for them this season. They've been sufferers of a fair bit of misfortune, but also they've just not really been in the same league as some of the other drivers, some of the other teams, and the consistencies that we've seen over the course of this season. And that goes back to the old adage of consistency creates champions, and that's exactly what we've seen over the course of this year, and it's ultimately what has been the downfall of Lexus's title defence in 2025. They are, though, still sitting on the back of the Subaru.
I think he's thinking about it now. He's starting to think, right, okay, I'm getting a bit bored of sitting there. Although saying that, washing wide understeering, those front tyres starting to wear on that Lexus. You can really see the difficulty of turning in there. The car won't rotate in the same way it used to as we go through this very technical section. There is actually quite a bit of camber. You don't quite see it on the broadcast, but it's off camber both these corners, so the car is really difficult to get to the apex from there. See how close they get to the wall. In the background there, Kylian Drumont waiting behind Miyazono. He'll be in next. Miyazono pulls to the right hand side into the pit lane from his first in. Will box at the end of lap 8. So 1 lap earlier than we expected there, and Kylian Drumont will get in. What tyres they're going to put on for Drumont? It has to be soft, surely.
Yeah, we need to see what the time is in terms of laps for Takuma Miyazono. It's 1:57.264, but it's the sector times here, because you would imagine Miyazono is going to come in next time around. But will they be able to, now they're in clear air, just run their own race, get a good in lap for this? Soft tyres going on the Subaru, so you would imagine the Lexus, Giorgio Mangano behind the wheel of that car, is probably going to follow the same strategy, just mirror what they're doing and then duke it out in the closing stages of the race.
Meanwhile, Lexus leading now, owing to the fact that Subaru have pitted. Mazda and Porsche. Porsche's got right up to the back of Mazda now. That gap down from 1.5 seconds to just over 7/10 of a second. That'll be in Citroën range.
4/10 of a second quicker last time around Jose Serrano compared to Rios Kokkerman in this middle stint. You were mentioning that Jose Serrano is arguably one of the quickest drivers in GT, and he's proving that here at this phase of the race. And this could be the thing that wins Porsche this race, and possibly even the championship here tonight as well. Is this middle stint? Depends on what happens here for Jose Serrano, but if he can keep himself honest with Mazda, when they go onto the hard tyres in the closing stages, they could be right there in contention, especially after suffering that misfortune prior to the first pit stop.
It's all going to unravel soon. We'll keep an eye on it, of course, as we get towards the midway here of the grand final. Lexus leader. I assume they'll be boxing this lap. Mangano, the pace is starting to fall for Mangano now, so you don't want to be staying out too long. I do wonder if they can find themselves maybe on the podium for this last race here. That'd be very interesting for them.
Well, just to give you an idea of the difference in sector times, last time around, middle sector for Rios Kokkerman was on fresher medium tyres compared to Giorgio Mangano, who's on pretty clapped out medium tyres. There's about 6 or 7/10 of a second in that middle sector, so no guesses as to how the Lexus is faring at the moment in terms of the tyre wear and in terms of the grip that will be missing from Giorgio Mangano's foot. And there we go, into the pit lane. Surely they're going to go onto the soft tyres in this middle stint. and mirror what Subaru have done. I think anything else would be a little bit foolish, to be completely honest. No, in fact, well, there you go. They've turned that around. They've gone onto the hard tyre, so they're going for the soft tyre in the closing stages then of this race, and diverging from the strategy of Team Subaru. Is there going to be something that will pay off for them, because they'll have to do a very short final stint?
That's the thing though, that Lexus is quick on the straights, and that combined with a soft tyre compared to Subaru, who will be slow on the straights with a hard tyre, you know, it'll make their job a lot easier, I think, in the last stint. But we'll see as we go on to lap 10 here.
I wonder what it'll be like in terms of the gap for Lexus once they come out of the pit lane, because if they can stay within slipstream range of a car in front, that'll really help them out in terms of keeping that gap at a constant and limiting the damage, and it's worked out nicely. So they've clearly been calculating that between the teams and the drivers. They've got, of course, driver to team radio, so they can communicate with one another. They've obviously looked at the gaps, done the calculations on the fly. 1.5 seconds, it's just about enough to be within slipstreaming range, as we see Mazda versus Porsche starting to kick off into the braking zone of the left-hander. Porsche with the inside line challenging for the race lead, and Jose Serrano goes through on Ryota Kokkonen to hit the front for the first time then in the Porsche. Are we going to see a retaliation though from Mazda as we come in towards the next braking zone? They're in the slipstream here, and are they going to think about sending it through to the inside or the outside? Well, Serrano's parking the car on the inside of the corner. Mazda aren't going to be able to launch anything through because the line is going to be blocked unless Serrano runs it a bit wide. It sort of switches back on the inside as they go side by side with one another. We come through in towards the third sector. Mazda on the outside now as we flick it through to the right. Porsche on the inside. They hold the line and they'll hold the place into the braking zone as well.
I mean, here are your two title contenders fighting it out right now. Team Porsche, Team Mazda separated by less than 3/10 of a second. Team Porsche now leading courtesy of that move from Jose Serrano, which of course now, if the race were to end, would mean they will take the title today. It literally is. Whoever finishes first out of these two will be the one to win this title.
Keep an eye out for Subaru as well. Kylian Drummond's on the soft competitive tyre here, Jimmy, in this middle stint of the race. They started third, they are now third. They've got a gap of about 7 seconds or so. So Kylian Drummond's in a great position. He can use that soft tyre to his advantage, run a nice clean middle stint in this race. Of course, they're going to have to pay for that later on because they're going to owe the hard tyre in the closing stages of the race. But I wonder how this is going to work out for them as we come in towards it, because of course Porsche and Mazda are also going to owe that hard tyre in the final stint. So if Subaru and Drummond can close that gap down, it could go from a two-way fight between Porsche and Mazda up to a three-way tussle.
And we will see. It's going to be a big ask for that Subaru to pull this back in again. But if anyone can do it, it will be Kylian Drummond. And of course, as you say, that'll be our 3 title contenders all fighting, which is, I mean, it just goes to show who's been the most consistent, who's been the quickest this season when they're all there fighting at the end like this.
Well, exactly what Kylian Drummond is going to need is Porsche and Mazda to continue battling like they were last time around.
But they know this. These guys aren't silly. Now they'll know they can't afford to be fighting for each other, especially experienced heads like Ryota Kokkonen and, of course, Jose Serrano. That's why I think the move was so decisive. Right, I'm gonna go now. Let's not fight anymore. Let's go with it. And you have to think, actually, now looking at it, the Porsche is very slowly edging away from that Mazda.
Toyota and Honda under investigation for a collision. They're down in 8th and 9th place respectively, so not been a particularly brilliant race for them to ride home without. We ride on board though meanwhile here with Kokkonen then in the Mazda through into the right hander. This is where we saw a challenge for position the last time around. No such dramas though here on lap 11 out of 20. Of course, one more stint left for all of the drivers left to run in this race. They must run at least of all 3 of the tyre compounds in this one, and there's also a question as to how they're going to do it in terms of the fuel strategy as well. I think most will be waiting for the final stint to do their fuel top-ups towards the end of this race. So into that right hander we go. A little bit wide there at the final corner for Porsche and for Jose Serrano. I wonder if he's been taking a little bit more out of his tyres relative to the Mazda in this one as we descend into the darkness.
The Mazda, great pictures there as we go out for another lap for this very fast section. Toyota receiving a 1-second penalty for a collision with another car. We've not seen that at the moment, but
yeah, that was with Honda. We saw the investigation come up. Yep. So clearly they've been deemed to be the aggressor. Just looking at the gap here, Jimmy, as well. 6.3 seconds with Subaru. So it's coming down, isn't it, here? Look, just to give you an idea of the difference in lap times between the top 2 and Kylian Drew mediums and the softs. It's about half a second or so quicker. Here's what happened then between Toyota and Honda. To the inside go Toyota, and into the side of Honda they go as well. That opens the door subsequently for Nissan, so drops them down and they pick up a 1-second penalty for their troubles.
Yeah, simple that one. Track limits warning from Team Mazda. You've got to be careful of these guys. The stewards are pretty on it around here, so the stewards have basically said, listen, we're going to turn a lot of the penalties off here. just make sure if you go over it, we're going to watch it. We're watching these manually today, so Mazda there getting a bit of a reminder of that by the stewards. On board then with Cookman. I did say Serrano was pulling away, but that seems to come back towards us now. So this is going to go out the wire. Look how close there Cookman is to the back of that Porsche. And lap time wise, you were saying, there's not a big gap. It's like maybe 7 tenths of that faster is to Subaru right now, which is not enough to catch these guys before those soft tyres run out.
No, absolutely. Again, what Drummond is going to need here is them to start squabbling. They had such a good first stint of this race, did Porsche and Mazda, being on that soft competent tyre, but of course they're going to be paying that pain in this middle stint. But as you say, the gap is just a bit too far away for Drummond and for Subaru. And of course, the problem with those soft tyres, yes, they're quick, but they don't have the same longevity as the medium tyres. So 6 laps into that stint, they're going to be absolutely knackered. And killing Drummond's already 4 laps into that, so they're coming towards the end of their useful shelf life, or will be in a lap or so's time. Down to just under 6 seconds for the first time is the gap between Porsche, Mazda and Subaru. But I think that challenge is going to come to a fairly abrupt end before too long. See the crowd here in Fukuoka watching on the bottom left-hand side of your picture. What a fantastic city this has proven to be, and what a great venue it is for the grand final of the Manufacturers' Cup, the World Finals indeed, of the GT World Series. So Porsche then, we're right on board with them. Another reminder in terms of your strategy, so a long middle stint for those on the medium tyres, a la Porsche, Mazda and pretty much everybody else behind, aside from Subaru. But they'll be going onto the hard tyres for that final stint of the race. They'll be slower relative to some other teams around. Everybody from BMW down has not run the soft compound of tyre yet, aside from Ferrari. So they're going to be significantly quicker in the closing stages of this one. If we start getting squabbles, start getting big battles amongst one another, that's when we could see the soft shop runners getting involved in the action.
Cookman about as close as he has been so far. When we see him going through looks to the inside, they're kind of a half look. A little bit of contact there at the back of Hogan of the Porsche. Cookman is starting to get a little bit impatient now, to be said. I think now he's starting to realise that the gap behind him is coming down a bit too quickly for his liking. He knows that he might not be fighting directly with Subaru behind him, but with BMW, with AMG. So he needs to make sure he gets as far forward as possible for boxing for that last set of tyres. Porsche there looking right at the front. They both owe that hard compound. So that last stint for them is going to be, well, pain really compared to this first couple of stints. They've only got a couple more laps where they have to pick 5 laps minimum of each set of tyres. This one and one more and they have to box.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Just to let you know as well, because there's a bit of a divergence in terms of the strategies between Porsche and Mazda and Subaru as well. They should pit relatively around the similar sort of time on that hard competent tyre. BMW then into the box. They're the first of the medium shop runners in this final stint to blink. They're going to be going onto the soft tyre for their final stage of this race. Out of the car jumps Thomas Lebutele. Into the car jumps Saya Suzuki. We know how quick he can be on his day. Lamborghini, meanwhile, picks up a 1-second penalty for colliding with another car. That could prove to be pretty costly for them in that sort of mid-pack battle. Meanwhile, the Porsche of Jose Serrano just doing exactly what he loves to do, leading from the front, not falling under pressure. Half a second is the advantage that they hold over Mazda for now, but they pick up a warning for track limits. We saw that with Mazda a couple of laps or so ago. The stewards just keeping a watching eye on things. They're not going to be happy at all if they do pick up some penalties as a result.
To be honest, it might even come down to that, you know, because Subaru, whilst they are a bit further behind, of course, it's a different strategy for them at the end, I think. So, one misplaced corner exit, turning a little bit too early, that 0.5-second penalty could change everything. And it has done in the past, it can do again. That's Cookman, look out!
No!
He's hit Serrano's round! That's huge! Porsche there, sideways. Cookman into the back, and that's going to allow Team Subaru to come back into the fight. That's just changed everything there. As Cookman gets it wrong, he gives the position back, but the damage is done there. And man, oh man, you saw him double guess it on the way in. He thought about it and thought, yeah, he committed too late. Far too late for that to work out, and that's cost them both about 3 seconds.
Proper save though from Jose Serrano for making say so. Very well done. Great car control. And now we're going to start to see the final pit stops taking place as well. So Angelina Stroza is going to jump into that car next time around.
No, it won't be Stroza. He started the race.
Sorry, I beg your pardon. No, he's watching on. So it'll be Sato only for the final stint. You're absolutely right. Meanwhile, there are your live points rankings. So whoever wins this one will be winning this race. No further action. They've deemed it a racing incident. I mean, I suppose you could look at it and say that, you know, Cockburn, of course, yeah, he made a mistake, but he didn't gain anything as a result of that. It's as it was.
He did, the Subaru did, and so did the rest of the field. So, yeah, I mean, what the Subaru would say is final. AMG in now. Now another contenders race. Onto the soft compounder tyres goes the AMG. There is Karatza as well hopping in.
Benelli onto the AMG, isn't he? So he's jumped into that one. Lanuza is out of the car. Nissan also into the box. Lexus as well. So now we're starting to see everybody else who's on the soft shod tyre. So they, of course, have been out of sequence relative to the front sort of top four, really, in this race. Because, of course, they started on the slower compounds of tyre, and I wonder if it might bring them back into contention. Meanwhile, Porsche versus Mazda at the sharp end of this one, and you're absolutely right, Jimmy. I mean, if you remember, the gap between Subaru and the top two was, what, 5.5 seconds or so. It's now down to under 4 seconds as a result of that contact that we saw last time around. So we're now coming into the final stages of this race. Out of the Porsche is going to get Jose Serrano. Into the car is going to go Shota Sato, and let's see what he is going to be able to do on that hard tyre in the final stages of this one. In terms of the Mazda as well, we're going to see we're going to see Samuel Cardinal in the car, aren't we, for the final stint. So let's see how it works out. You see how close they are through this final stage as they come under the W Hotel and through that left-hander. This surely is now going to be the final part of this one. Big wiggle there for Cockburn as he just gets a bit too greedy under the power as the tyres are now really starting to get away, and into the box they both come at the end of lap 15 for their final pit stop of 2025 in the Manufacturers' Cup.
Yeah, slightly better box there from Mazda. Just a 10th gained anywhere is worth it, and now it's going to be a showdown. Amazing. It all comes down to this. The last 5 laps here at Fukuoka, the grand final of the Manufacturers' Cup. Team Porsche, Team Mazda, Team Subaru are your top 3 in the points, your top 3 contenders here. Whoever finishes first out of these 3 teams in this race will be the champion. Sato is charged with taking the car home for Team Porsche. Danny Solis in the car for Subaru. Who's in the car for Mazda, Tom?
In the Mazda it'll be Samuel Cardinal for the final stint of this race. So let's see what the Canadian driver is going to be able to do. So Sato in at Porsche, Cardinal in at Mazda, Solis in at Subaru.
Where is Team BMW? They can upset the apple cart here, as you would say, Mr. Brooks. And they're not quite out of the pit lane yet. So I think realistically, they've got a bit of a run back. 2 seconds back to, oh wow, they're closer than I thought, Tom.
Yeah,
wow.
They are.
And there they are, you can see them.
And they're going to be right on them like a shot before too long. 1.6 seconds, that's absolutely nothing given the performance advantage of these soft tyres, and they could be a bit of an upset because, you know, look, the leaders, they're not too far down the road. There's 4 laps left of this one, plenty of time for it to play out, especially if the top 2 start duffing one another up. We come down the back straight in towards the hairpin bend, or the left-hander rather I should say. At the moment it's Porsche who will be the champions. If Mazda get into the lead, they'll be champions, but there's still plenty of time for a disruption here.
BMW and AMV are going to be rapid in these last few laps. We saw the time difference between the soft and the hard tyre being nearly 2 seconds a lap. So you have to keep an eye out for these guys now, as Sam Cardinal in that Mazda had a race win earlier on today at the Daytona events. This is a bit different Daytona, more a couple of right-handers than this one, so definitely a bit difficult. But look, already BMW is already on the back of Team Subaru. This is important for Subaru. They can't afford to lose places, but really they're just sitting duck. Danny Solis doing his best to defend with that BMW far quicker on that soft unlock tyre.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you sort of limit the damage then by this point and just sort of let them, you know, not fight it too much, just get on with it? You know, let's wait and see what will happen. But Solis there just again keeping, you know, the normal racing line as we come through into the final sector. Mercedes AMG there as well with Lucas Benelli, who's behind the wheel, and these two are going to be diving to the inside. Look at the grip they've got. BMW go through and into 3rd place. Where's Lucas Benelli? He's ready to try and pick his pocket as well. Through to the right-hander in the final corner. Benelli doesn't have a gap there to use the extra momentum and the extra grip. On the exit of the corner though, he does. Pulls alongside the Subaru. Benelli and Mercedes then are up through and into 4th place. Subaru lose 2 places in as many corners.
See Solis really struggling there. Wasn't really trouble in the apex at all at the last corner, so that's him down to 5th now, and the German march of BMW and Team AMG go onwards after Team Mazda. So the gap between Mazda and Porsche 7/10. So basically, it's between these two really for the ultimate, for the grand final for the series. But these two can upset that.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, what, 3 seconds or so? It's a gap that looks pretty big, and we've got 3 laps left. You wonder how soon they're going to be able to close up onto the back of them.
Well, it's 2 seconds a lap, it's a lap and a half, so we'll see him probably mid lap 18 really starts to get the back. Here comes Pinelli there, he wants to lead the charge, through he goes, up at the inside there, into the braking zone, up into 3rd place goes Pinelli in the AMG, past Seiya Suzuki in the BMW. It's been a while since Pinelli has been at the front of one of these events, and I'm sure he's hungry to try and take a win here in the Grand Final. Subaru, a 1 second track little penalty, goes from bad to worse for Team Subaru and Danny Solis. That will put them into the clutches of Nissan. How far will Subaru drop?
Well, Subaru are now out of contention for the overall victory in the Manufacturers' Cup. That's them done and dusted. You can pretty much count them out for it. Meanwhile, this is the effective battle for the race win in the Grand Final of the Manufacturers' Cup between Mercedes and between BMW. It'd be great for Mercedes. They need something to smile about after what has been a torrid couple of seasons in this championship. They came close to winning the Cup overall a few years ago, but that was ever such a distant memory now, and you can see them closing up onto the back. What is it now? 2.5 seconds. They've taken 1.5 seconds out over the course of this 2nd and 3rd sector alone.
What do you do if you're Mazda and Porsche right now? Because realistically, you're fighting each other, but you've got these 2 teams charging behind you. Do you just let them through, or do you fight for the win?
But I don't think you can do anything, can you? Because the difference of pace and grip and performance between the soft tire and the hard tire is so vast. What, 2.2 seconds last time? I don't think there's going to be anything they can do. They're just going to go through like they're sitting still. Mercedes and BMW are surely going to go on in this battle for victory, and then you're going to have a battle for what is a 3rd place in this race that will be overall for the Manufacturers' Cup title.
And whilst all this is happening, Mazda are closing on Team Porsche. The gap coming down from 7/10 to half a second though. Sam Cardinal in the RX Vision harrying the Porsche 911 in front at the moment. This is going to be such an exciting finish here to the Manufacturers Series in 2025. Benelli there though, hunting both of them down in the AMG.
So just to give you an idea, 16 points on offer for 3rd place, 14 points on offer for 4th place. So it's a 2-point swing in it, but there's 2 points in it between the gaps at the start of this race. Let's have a look though at what's happening here between Mazda and Porsche. They're going to start to get their elbows out here before too long. Lap 18 out of 20. Are we going to see a dive from Samuel Cardinal down the back straight in towards the hairpin bend? Sato goes to the defensive line on the inside. Cardinal looks towards the outside of the Mazda. Don't think he can make anything stick through there. Nothing opening on the switchback on the inside as well. But what is opening is an opportunity for AMG and for BMW in the battle for this victory. They're closing up onto the back of the top 2 at a vast rate of knots, and surely it's a matter of when and not if they're going to strike in this battle for victory here.
But this is for everything. This is the battle for the win of the entire Manufacturers' Cup. Right now, Porsche and Mazda separated by less than 3/10 of a second. You can sense that Sam Cardinal thinks he can win this in that Mazda. He's got the pace. He's stayed with the Porsche. He's caught back up again. But can the Porsche hold him off? Can Sato hold off and take Porsche to a historic first Manufacturers' Cup win? As you said, Tom, a non-Japanese manufacturer has never won a Manufacturers' Cup or series event. So, it's all going to come down to here's Benelli in the AMG. He's right at the back of the Mazda now.
Yeah, we come through into the left and then the right-hander, and this is where Benelli's going to have so much more grip through the sweeping fast right-hander into the braking zone of the hairpin. We're going to go, and are we going to see Benelli launching his way through to the inside? Not quite on this occasion, but it's surely going to be the exit of the corner. Look at the traction he'll have underneath his right foot as we come down this 1 kilometre long back straight. He'll have more grip underneath him at this point. He'll have more grip into the braking zone, and surely he's going to be able to challenge for position. Mazda diving to the inside line then here, trying to defend that position. Benelli looking for a way through. Are we going to go nearly 3 abreast? Is he going to split the 2 of them into the braking zone? We go. Benelli and Mercedes on the inside and through and into second. They split the top 2 on the hard competent tyre. On the exit of the corner though, Porsche are onto the curb, and here comes Benelli once more. He's got more grip on the exit of the corner. We come down the back straight we go, and Cardinal's ready to try and pick his pocket there as well. Side by side we are for second second and third. Side by side we are also for the race lead. Into the braking zone. Around the outside goes Spinelli. Contact there with Mazda. Goodness me, what drama we see on the penultimate lap. And the upshot is Lucas Spinelli goes from challenging to the victory to being out of contention. Surely there's a penalty on the way there.
That is huge. They both went to try and put out at the same time there. I mean, a bit of miscommunication between the two. I'd be interested to hear what the stewards say, but it'll be such a shame for it to end that way, because Cardinal was looking fast. Regardless though, penultimate lap, penultimate time through here right now, a 9/10 of a second gap for Team Porsche. Can Sarto bring it home for this German manufacturer? But still in the background, look, BMW are there now. They're looking quick on that soft compound tyre. It's 1, 2, 3 across the line, your final lap here at Fukuoka. Will a steward's decision decide this race? We can only find out.
Well, let's hope the decision comes before the end of this final lap. Through the first corner for the last time we go. Porsche, Mazda and BMW all in your picture at the moment. The soft tyre shod BMW of Seiya Suzuki, who is behind the wheel of that car at the moment, is surely going to be doing exactly what Lucas Spinelli was doing just one lap ago and threatening in this battle for the race lead. Down in towards the left-hander we go. Porsche leading the way for now. Samuel Cardinal, I don't think he's going to be quite close enough and gets a bit of a poor exit on the hairpin bend there, but where is Suzuki in relation to it? He's still 0.7 of a second away. He's not quite close enough to challenge at the moment. Mazda get a 2-second penalty for their involvement, so that is going to deny them an opportunity of the Manufacturers' Cup title here in 2025. And if Porsche rather I should say, are able to keep it on the straight and narrow and not come under any pressure from BMW in the closing stages of this one, they will be crowned as the champions of this season.
What a shame for Team Mazda. Well fought there, and not a way you want to see one of these races end at all, but that does give breathing room to Sato. It is now a victory lap for Porsche and Sato. So many years we've been doing this. 2018 we started this series here, and ever since then we've never seen a non-Japanese manufacturer take the win here, but Porsche now only corners away from making Gran Turismo history.
Well, what a season it has been for Team Porsche. Consistency creates champions, as the old adage goes, and that has certainly proven to be the case for the German manufacturer. Angel Strozer of Chile, Jose Serrano of Spain, and Japan's Shota Sato, who is behind the wheel here in his home race in Fukuoka, will come around the final corner. Porsche become the Manufacturers' Cup champions of 2025 here in Japan. What a phenomenal season from the German manufacturers. They create history in the Gran Turismo World Series to become the first ever non-Japanese manufacturer to win the crown. BMW over the line in second place, and Mazda against all the odds despite that penalty on the final lap.